Ding dong, the witch is dead. Or in this case, Lee Anderson has had been suspended now from the Tory party. Um, Holy moly. Holy moly. I did not expect this to happen. But first, why has he been suspended? If you haven't heard what he said, here's why. I think, again, over these comments, he absolutely should have been suspended. But bear in mind, we've said this about a number of MPs in the past, and they haven't been suspended. So, one of the things we're going to cover today, what he said, why I think, again, Rishi Sunak doing this is a good idea. The fact that this morning, in particular, on a lot of the Sunday morning programs, a lot of the Tory MPs have been very, very silent about this. They do not want to talk about this at all. In fact, there has been almost a deafening silence in response to Lee Anderson being suspended. And it leads me to now think that Rishi Sunak is doing this because he is trying to reassert his authority in going into a general election. So, lots to talk about there today, but I think this will have a lot of consequences, as I said, and possibly play into a general election, which now I think could very well, so we say, fuel the rumors of an early general election. So, before we do get on with this, like I say, please do click on the like, share, and subscribe button down below. There's a link to my Patreon page, the one-off donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there is the Pony Club down below as well. So, let's crack on into this then. So, what did Anderson say to get himself suspended? Well, he came out and said that London is now under the control of Islamists. And it is under the control of Islamists because Sadiq Khan isn't an Islamist himself, but he is being controlled, puppet mastered by those who are. Thus, they have him in his thrall, dancing to their tune. And, well, after those comments came out, less than 24 hours, Anderson was suspended. Now, that is a first for Rishi Sunak under his prime ministership, because remember, there have been a great many moments, many moments where he could have suspended other people from the party, but chose not to. And we've said it before, makes him look weak. Makes it look like all these other factions, are just dancing around, the supply teacher, being able to get away with all kinds of stuff. Suella Braverman has had her own comments about this as well. She even went to the National Conservative Conference and basically said, yep, I'm the next leader. Trust me, guys. Miriam Cates has said stuff. Recently, we've had Liz Truss attending the CPAC conference, feeding into the delusions and going along with the whole big lie that, the election was stolen from Donald Trump. Should she now be suspended? I think there is an infinite case to suspend Liz Truss over this. There are just numerous cases of all these, Tory MPs saying stuff. And you're like, well, hold on a second. You could suspend them. And I think this does now lend the case to show, once again, how weak Rishi Sunak is, because he has suspended Lee Anderson over this, but he hasn't suspended other Tory MPs as well. So, on the surface of this looks bizarre. It looks odd that he now chooses this moment to suspend someone. But this is where things get interesting. Because why suspend Anderson now? Why assert your authority now? I do think that the Tories are now going to go into a general election footing. You get rid of a troublemaker. You get rid of him. And bear in mind, you look at the polls, Anderson isn't going to re-win his seat. So actually suspending him isn't the biggest loss ever. He's, so we say, served his usefulness. Anderson came in, as said, make me deputy Tory party chairman. I will save the red wall for you, Rishi. I will make sure that those local May elections go your way. That didn't happen. And of course, he continued to keep on causing trouble. So if you are now getting into a general election footing, you get rid of a troublemaker, you reassert your authority, and you send the message to your fellow Tory MPs, we are going into a general election. This type of stuff is not going to be tolerated because, we're going into a general election. This is going to get brought up. You've got comments this morning, people like Jeremy Hunt, other sort of Tory MPs doing the rounds on the Sunday morning shows where this is brought up. You can tell that they have all been briefed because they are all saying the exact same thing of, we are not going to talk about this because we don't think it's appropriate to. So they're trying to shut down the conversation from happening. They do not want to have that conversation. Because, as we said, this opens a whole can of worms for Rishi Sunak. Because if you suspend Lee Anderson over those comments, what about this laundry list of other comments that we've got from other Conservative MPs? Should they too not also be suspended? Hence, why they are being told, do not talk about this. Do not have this conversation. Because if you do, we are going into a general election. We are going to try and assert some, messaging discipline. If you now step out of line, maybe you could find yourself suspended. I have to wonder now whether Lee Anderson will take up the offer from Reform UK to be their candidate. That will be interesting to see. Who knows? We'll have to watch that very, very closely. But it would not shock me if Lee Anderson suddenly becomes a Reform candidate in Parliament. But also giving him license now to start saying all kinds of crazy nonsense. And trust me, he's going to be egged on by Farage. Farage is going to be like, right, Lee, this is what you need to say. The voice in the ear. In the Farage in the other room, watching the monitors, pressing all the buttons of Lee Anderson in the teleprompter. Right, you need to say this. You need to say this. You need to say this. Could happen. Could very, very well happen. So watch Anderson closely. Would not shock me if he suddenly became a Reform MP candidate. After all, suspended from the Tory party. That opens up options for him. Wouldn't surprise me if he took up that particular, shall we say, pay offer of 5 years worth of pay. Suddenly looks very attractive for someone like Lee Anderson. So that's what I think is going on at the moment. That this is a moment where Sunak is finally trying to assert some form of authority over the Tory party. But quite frankly, it's too little, far too late. For someone who came into the Tory party and announced on the steps to a grand audience and said, "This is a new beginning for the Tory party. We are going to get back to the good work and start, doing stuff properly." So far, hasn't done that, but at least what can I say? Suspending Anderson, good, but could have suspended him a long time ago. because he said various other things in the past he could have been suspended for. And of course, this is why they don't want to talk about it. Various other things. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets brought up at PMQs on Wednesday. Well, if you're going to suspend Lee Anderson, what about all this other stuff that your Tory MPs have said? Are they going to get suspended as well? Would be an interesting move from Keir Starmer and the opposition on that one. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.